Okay, good morning, class. Today we are going to look at classification of animals. And before we start, we are going to engage ourselves in the objectives, the learning objectives. And at the end of this topic, you as a learner, you should be able to, one, state the characteristics of animals, two, define the term classification, three, explain how living things are classified, four, identify two major classes of animals, and five, practice exercise question. So let us begin. Okay, what are the major characteristics of living organisms? For you to recall very well the characteristics of living organism, you are going to use the initials of the name Mr. Snudge, whereby M stands for movement, and all living things are able to move about. For example, animals, they move from place to place, while plants move by responding to light. Then R stands for respiration. So when we talk of respiration, we mean the energy that animals require for them to take or to perform metabolic function that keep them alive. Then S stands for sensitivity. Sensitivity we can also refer as stimuli, where living things react in accordance with the changes in the environment that they surround them. Then N stands for nutrition. And when we talk of nutrition, we are talking of the food that we take in, and this food that helps us to grow and develop as animals. Then we have excretion. Excretion is a situation whereby after taking the food, you need to excrete the waste product. So excretion is basically removing or getting rid of the unwanted waste product. Then R stands for reproduction. Reproduction is simply producing young ones or producing the offsprings. Then finally, G stands for living things increase in size and complexity. For example, you were born when you were young and now you have become a big boy or girl. Let's continue. Now, you're going to ask yourself, what is classification? According to me, classification refers to the process of sorting out all organisms into groups based on the similarities between them, and scientists name classification also as taxonomy. And what is taxonomy? Taxonomy refers to basic classification of animals, and we do classify animals based on the distinct characteristics that they have. So if they have common characteristics, probably or automatically you are going to group them in one class or one group. Okay, so look at the classification system of living things. You realize that all living things are classified into 5 major main groups, or these groups we call them kingdoms. So we have kingdom Plantae that consists of plants, kingdom Animalia consists of animals, then we have fungicides, bacteria, also called prokaryotes, and protoctista. You realize that plants and animals are the major kingdoms that we are going to look at as per now. Okay, and remaining fungicide, bacteria, protoctista, we shall discuss in the upcoming lessons. Okay, let's continue. Let's now look or measure our topic under classifying animals or classification of animals. Animals are classified into 2 major subgroups, that is vertebrates and invertebrates. So when you hear the word vertebrates, what comes into your mind? What comes into my mind is that vertebrates, these are animals that have backbone, or they have what we call spinal cord or the skeleton. And invertebrates are animals without a backbone. Are we together? Okay, we are coping together. So the vertebrates, you realize that the vertebrates include the mammals. We have mammals, we have fish, we have reptiles, we have amphibians, we have the birds. And invertebrates are also classified, or the examples of invertebrates that animals without backbones, We have this name is called cnidarians. We have cnidarians, we have flatworms, true-worms, we have mollusks, and I believe most of you have encountered mollusks, the snails. We have echinoderms, and we have arthropods. Arthropods are the mostly known invertebrates that we have. Okay, let's continue. Classifying vertebrates. And we have discussed that vertebrates are animals that have backbone. And these vertebrates are classified, or vertebrates are classified into 5 distinct characteristics, and each group has its own features. The groups are as follows. So we are going to discuss one by one, from mammals, go to fish, go to birds, reptiles, amphibians. Yeah. So let's begin with mammals. So we realize that examples of mammals, human being, we have chimpanzee, we have zebra, and many more. And they have the following features or the characteristics. Animals have body covered with hair, or animals or fur. When you talk of hair, maybe when you look at your hand or your body is covered with fur. Or when the pet, probably, or most commonly cats are covered with what? With fur. Then mammals, they have mammary glands. So when you talk of mammary glands, automatically these are animals that give birth to young ones. They are also warm-blooded. Most of them live on land, and they breathe through lungs. So look at the picture that I have shown you. You can see we have rat. Rat is an example of mammal, and I know that rats do give birth. They have mammary glands. We have elephant, we have zebra, we have human being, we have shark. So when we talk of shark, when we talk of mammals, we have subgroups. We have the subgroups. We have those that live in water, those that live in land, and also shark is a fish, but it's also a mammal. We have lion, we have tiger, tiger. Bat is a flying mammal. We also have egg-laying mammals like spiny anteater. Okay, let's move to fish. What are the characteristics of fish? I believe that most of you know what is a fish, and they know the features that are in fish. So the first feature is that, or the first thing that would come in your mind, that these fish, they mostly, or all of them, live in water. They cannot survive on land. So they live in water. Live in water meaning they breathe through what? They breathe through gills. Their body is covered with what? With scale, and they are cold-blooded. So we have different species of fish. We have tilapia. We have dolphin. Those are examples of fish. So let's move on to other classification of vertebrates. We have reptiles. Reptiles. What are the characteristics of reptiles? The first characteristic is that reptiles have dry and scaly skin. They lay eggs, they breathe with lungs, and they are cold-blooded. So, meaning they live partly in water and sometimes on land. When you say cold-blooded, it means that their body temperature varies according to the temperature, or according to the environment that surrounds them. So when they go to water, they're referred as cold-blooded. When they come on land, they are warm-blooded. These are the common examples of reptiles. We have turtle, we have skink, we have snake. Snake is a reptile. When you look at crocodile have a scaly skin, which is also dry. We have lizard, we have gecko, chameleon, and many more types of reptiles. Okay, these are what This we have amphibians or amphibians, features of amphibians. They have moist skin. Yeah, amphibians have moist skin. They lay eggs in water. Larvae have gills and live in water. When you talk of larvae, the amphibians, when you talk of amphibians, they have stages of development. So larvae they have gills and they live in water. But the adult ones, they have lungs and they live on land. They are cold-blooded. Amphibians are cold-blooded. Examples of amphibians commonly we have newt, we have frog, we have toad. Those are the common types of amphibians. So we have here the types. Yeah, you can see we have salamander, we have newt, and the ones that I've told you. So I believe we have seen with your eyes the types or all the examples of amphibians. Next is birds. When you talk of birds, these are flying animals. They have feathers. They have uh, body covered with scales and feathers. So they fly, they lay eggs, and we have various types of birds, be it domesticated or those that live in wild wild habitats. Yeah. So they are also warm-blooded, meaning their body temperature is constant. It does not change even if the environment changes. So you can see the examples here. We have dove, we have parrot as example. We have as many as millions of birds across the globe. Those are the examples of that. You can see ostrich there, even hen that we keep at home is also bird. Now we have gone and look at the vertebrates. After looking at the vertebrates class, we are going now to look at invertebrates. And from our previous discussion, we've discussed that invertebrates, these are animals with no backbone or skeleton. They are also referred as exoskeleton. Scientists commonly refer them as exoskeleton, meaning they don't have vertebrates. And no, I beg your pardon, invertebrates are the most, they occupy the most percentage of animals on earth. That's according to history. Now let's look at the examples of these invertebrates. One, we have segmented worms. Look at them, the earthworms. These are commonly seen maybe after rains. After rains, you will commonly see these segmented worms. They are long, they are tube-shaped body made with segments. Then another examples of invertebrates, you have mollusks. Mollusks, many have shells. They have shells. Body is not segmented. They move around on a muscular foot. So these mollusks, their body is divided or is subdivided into three. So we have the shell, we have the body, and we have now the abdomen. Those are the parts of the mollusks. Next, we are continuing with the examples of invertebrates. So we have arthropods, and the arthropods have jointed legs. The body has a hard outer skeleton. They can be divided into four smaller groups. You have crustaceans, we have the insects, we have the spiders, centipedes, and millipedes. So what are the arthropods, crustaceans? These are commonly found in water, and from the diagram you can see them. They are commonly found in water. We have starfish and sea urchins. The starfish and sea urchins are also invertebrates. They have 5 arms or star-shaped patterns on their bodies, and they have spiny skins, meaning spiny like a thorn. They are spiny skins. So they are commonly found in water and big water bodies like oceans and seas. And also you can also find them in rivers. We have also flatworms. We have examples of flatworms there. They have flattened body with no segments. Okay, we can see the examples of flatworms. So class, there's a short video I've prepared for you, and this video will help you to understand how these animals are classified. So I'm just going to show you a half of it. Then at your free time, you're going to continue to watch it for your better understanding.
The world is full of many different types of animals. Some swim, some fly, some breathe air, and some breathe underwater. Some have skeletons, and others don't. To help us understand the differences between the animals in our world, scientists classify or sort animals into different groups that share important characteristics. The two largest groups of animals are vertebrates and invertebrates. Vertebrates are animals that have spines or backbones. Invertebrates are animals that do not have backbones. Most of the animals in the world are invertebrates. Some examples of invertebrates are octopus and squid, insects, arachnids, starfish and sea urchins, jellyfish, crabs and lobsters, clams, and many more creatures. On land, most invertebrates are fairly small, but in the water, they may grow to much larger sizes, as the water will support them even without a skeleton. Vertebrates make up less than 5% of all animal species on Earth, but if I asked you to think of an animal, you would probably choose a vertebrate. Vertebrates are divided into different classes or groups. Several of these classes are specific types of fish. For example, jawless fish, like lampreys and hagfish, and cartilaginous fish, like sharks and rays. For simplicity's sake, these other classes are usually lumped together with bony fish and just called fish. The four remaining classes of vertebrates will all be very familiar: amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. Let's look at the characteristics that make an animal a fish. Fish live in the water, and they can breathe underwater. They use gills, not lungs, to get oxygen from the water around them. Fish have scales and fins. They are cold-blooded, which means that they cannot control their own body temperature, which changes based on the temperature of the environment around them. Most fish also lay eggs. Amphibians are a group of animals that include frogs, toads, newts, salamanders, and more. Amphibians, like fish, are cold-blooded. Unlike fish, amphibians can live on land and in the water, and have smooth, moist skin. Amphibians lay their delicate jelly-covered eggs in the water. When the eggs hatch, the young may not look much like their parents, because some amphibians must go through metamorphosis, or a big change, to become adults. Aside from some fish, amphibians are the only vertebrates that undergo metamorphosis. Reptiles you might know are turtles, snakes, crocodiles, and lizards. Like fish and amphibians, reptiles are cold-blooded. Unlike them, reptiles are air-breathing animals and cannot breathe underwater. Even reptiles that live in the water must come to the surface to breathe. You can tell if an animal is a reptile instead of an amphibian if it has dry, scaly skin. Most reptiles lay eggs, but they are very different from the eggs of amphibians or fish. Their eggs are laid out of the water and have a protective shell. For the most part, reptile eggs have soft, leathery shells. Birds are easy to recognize. They are the only type of animals in the world to have feathers. Like reptiles, birds can only breathe air. All birds have 2 legs, and all birds also have wings, but not all birds fly. Unlike fish, amphibians, and reptiles, birds are warm-blooded. That means that they can maintain a constant body temperature. Birds lay eggs, but unlike the eggs of reptiles, birds' eggs have hard shells. The last group of animals we are going to talk about is mammals. Mammals are the group of animals that humans belong to. Like birds, mammals are warm-blooded and breathe air. Even mammals that live in water must come to the surface to breathe. All mammals have at least some fur or hair, although some have less than others. Almost all mammals give birth to live young instead of laying eggs, and all mammals feed their babies milk. A fun fact about mammals is that mammals are the only animals to have ears that stick out. The animal kingdom is classified into many different groups based on animal characteristics to help us understand the world around us. Saying an animal is an invertebrate, a vertebrate, a fish, amphibian, reptile, bird, or mammal tells us many things about it that can help us to understand its needs and behavior. I hope you enjoyed learning about animal classification today. Goodbye till next time.
Okay, class, I hope you enjoyed the video and you have get a few concepts that we also discussed in our previous discussions. So I also made for you a very easy practice exercise that will help you to evaluate yourselves if you have understood well the topic and the classification of animals, or if you have not understood, you are going back. You need to go back and read more on classification of animals. So this is a simple exercise of which I'm expecting each and every one of you is going to attempt the questions. So the exercise requires you to draw the lines to match the picture with their description. For example, I've done for you here, for example, the annelids. So you realize that these annelids, they have round worm-like bodies with segments. So you also need, so the other part requires of you to, this part requires of you to look at the characteristics of these animals. So if you realize that echinodons they crawl on a single fleshy pad, so you just match it right here. Or if you realize that arthropods have bodies divided into five parts, you need to match it with its characteristics for you to know if you understood the topic. Okay, so I'll leave from there, and I hope you get some concept about classification of animals, and I'll thank each and every one of you for coming in and attending the lesson. Hope you enjoyed everything. So we shall meet in the subsequent lessons.